What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in. This is the Juicebox Heroes podcast. It's our Thursday episode. Hope you guys are having a great week. I'm one of your hosts, PK. As always, I got the Dubon Fan Club president, Chris Moreno. Sweet B-Bones Bryles is in the house. Guys, how's y'all's week going?
Man, it is jam-packed with Little League Baseball. It's just started, and my entire weekend and most of next week is already filled up. So that's all I got. But Bryles, how's your week going?
Doing great, and I want to introduce our special guest, the host of Power Alley on MLB Network Radio, Monday through Friday from 9 to noon, Mr. Mike Ferrin. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm great. It's great to talk ball with you guys, and I think as we sit here now, the Mariners just lost a series to the Orioles, so Astros have a game and a half lead right in the West, so everything is fine in Astrodome. It's all fine here. We're all fine.
You ain't lying.
It's like I'm not crying, you're crying.
That's right. Well, they had a rain delay today too. So did they finish the game or did
they?
They
just did. Yeah, they ended up with like a 2-hour and 20-minute rain delay, mostly because they had to get the field ready because it took them so long to get the tarp on the first time. But yeah, Mariners put together a rally, had the tying runs on base in the ninth, but
they did that last
held
night
on,
too.
And now they come to Houston.
I mean, Mariners they were down 3-1, I think, in the ninth last night and came back. And then I think it was Jackson Holiday. I think I hit the walk-off last night, I think.
Yep. Yeah, walk-off double last night, which was, I think, the Orioles' first walk-off win of the year, which is crazy to think. Like, even in a bad year to go all the way through to the middle of August without having a walk-off is pretty crazy.
It's kind of like having 21 players on the injured list in one season. It's just weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But who's counting?
That's right. All right, Bryles, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, so for everybody out there, this is how this kind of got together. I had sent a tweet out to Mike on X when he was talking about how he had predicted the Mariners were going to win the West. And I believe I said something like, well, hey, calm down, guys, on the Seattle predictions, because remember, the AL West goes through Houston. And that kind of sparked a little bit of a conversation. And then Mike and I got together on X, and I invited him on the show. So we're here to talk the AL West, predictions on what's going to happen, how we see the rest of the season playing out and everything like that. So, Mike, I'll let you go ahead and take it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I mean, this is going to be a really fun race down the stretch. And I think, I think the confidence that I have in the Mariners has to do mostly with the depth of the roster right now. While there's still some questions with the Astros in terms of what they're going to get from guys with injuries. And, I'll draw a parallel to a couple other teams. Like we've been talking about this with the Dodgers a fair amount, right? So the Dodgers have a ton of talent, right? A lot of it's been impacted by injuries. Just because you're getting players back from injury doesn't mean you're not going to lose the guys that you have now. And so I think while we were having this conversation, Browse, we were talking a little bit on the air about how they had pitching that was coming back, right? Javier was getting ready to make his debut. Luis Garcia has been on a rehab. Little did we know that Josh Hader was going to go on the injured list with what feels like an absolutely like hold your breath moment, right? For how he's battling the shoulder and the second opinion that he's getting. So I think that's where a lot of that, for me, at least my opinion comes from. This is the best Mariners team on paper that they've had. Now, does that mean that they're going to win the division? No, but I also don't think that you can say that necessarily the West goes through Houston in the way that it had during their peak years in this last decade, because we can't just use that history to help to apply to this team. We have to look at this roster right now. And while they've gotten much better production over the last 6 weeks over a couple of guys who had struggled through the course of the first half of the season, we all knew that Yainer Diaz was a way better hitter than what he's shown. I've known Christian Walker for years. I saw him a lot living in Arizona, knew he was going to start putting it together. And they've been great since the beginning of July. The problem is they still don't have Yordan Alvarez, and that's really their bell cow, right? And they're not getting any production now from right field with Cam Smith. And so I think all of those things have to factor into it. And that's why I said I think the Mariners are the team to beat in the division. And shortly thereafter, they tied for the division lead, and now they've lost 2 in a row. The Astros have a game and a half lead again, right? So it should be a fun last 7 weeks, and probably one that Astros fans haven't seen in a while go down to the wire like this.
So I think, offline, me and Chris, we were talking, I think it was offline a few days ago, maybe it was yesterday. But it's like Houston is right. It's like we're riding that high that we had when we had 13 series wins in a row, right? And, you build a 7.5 game lead and you're like, okay, we're taking these series, we're making this lead. It's essentially over, relatively speaking, right? At least that's the confidence level you felt because you're beating teams. Pitching's been phenomenal. Fromber was dominating during that time frame. And then you come out of the break and, we know what happened in Boston right out, the jump. And, we're not playing very well. And then of course, as you're not playing well, the teams that you're trying to hold back are, so it's, I mean, and this is not Homer hat. Let me just say that this is not Homer hat, but I do still think it comes through Houston. Like I really do. Now, and I agree completely with, like, the Mariners are playing really good ball. They've got, their pitching pretty good. I mean, they got like Gilbert, Wu was an all-star this year, right? Their offense, I mean, they can get on a quick roll, and that's evident of what has happened up until these last two games against Baltimore. So, we talk a lot on our episode about our pitching and how good our starting pitching is, right? And how our offense hasn't matched our starting pitching, right? And that's that's even with Isak in the lineup, with Jordan obviously out. And we talk about where you can't expect the pitching staff to hold these teams to 2 runs per start, and expect your pitching just to continue to carry you. Your offense has to carry you. And we see our offense kind of, disappear at times, and if you were to see some of our group texts, you would think that we're about to, hop off the side of a high-rise building, right? Because it's like, Yiner, please don't swing at the garbage pitches. Please don't hit into a double play rally killer, right? So I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's a little too exciting for like a fan like me to see. I mean, I know it's great for everybody else.
Everybody wants to win the division by 20 games, right?
That's right. Look, like in that 10-year span where like the season was over by mid-July, and it's like, okay, let's just get to October. So I mean, I think it's going to be great. I still think, you still got to take down the King. The King's Houston, and that's kind of how I look at it.
So it's a little different Houston team than some of the ones that they had. Because I do think that you could make that case that over the last decade that the West absolutely had to go through the Astros. But right now we're looking at a team that is much more aggressive offensively, right? So one of the things that they did really well in that peak era was manage counts, right? And it was they were really good at swinging at pitches that were strikes. And they weren't necessarily a big walk team, but they were good at ambushing early count strikes. And especially if you go back to like 16 and 17, and I would say, 18, 19, that area, like when you saw the change in George Springer, right? Like that's what I would say is a good example of it, where Springer went from being this kind of high strikeout guy to a guy who really managed it. A good chunk of that was him hunting strikes early in the count, even if it was off speed. And that was something that they did really well. Their personnel has changed significantly since then. So a lot of the guys that they have that are role players now are much more aggressive offensive players. And I think that's part of where some of that skepticism for me lies on where their offense is. Now, that said, the last 6 weeks, they've been pretty good offensively. Like, and again, some of that is guys that are coming back closer to their career numbers. They have, getting Correa having that road trip that he did. What, he had 400 right in the first 10 games or whatever. Traded for, like that, that's huge. And Altuve's still Altuve, right? Like he's, Altuve's a Hall of Famer, no doubt. So in my mind, so like I think they have some of those elements, but I don't think it's quite as deep in that regard. And that's really one of the things that I look at. As much as everybody talks about pitching and defense mattering, and certainly those things do, how do you manage as a lineup? Like, how do you manage day to day? Because that's going to determine how you match up against the best pitchers. And right now, I think they're a little bit too aggressive. I think they swing a little bit too much. Now, I don't want to make it sound like Seattle is the most selective team in the league. They're not. They certainly have strikeout issues. But they do swing outside the strike zone a little bit less than what the Astros do. And they make some better swing decisions. And, the Astros are kind of towards they make a lot of in-zone contact, which is good. I don't know that it's always a ton of in-zone contact. So there are quality in-zone contact. So I think there's a couple of things offensively that give me a little bit of a pause. And then to your point on the pitching, right? So Framber Valdez, I still will think is the most underrated starter in the league.
Mhm.
Like, that guy is going to get paid, and there are going to be a bunch of people who haven't followed the Astros over the last 6 years that are going to go, who did what now? Because like that guy's a stud. Hunter Brown has pitched great, and while he hasn't been to this like sub-2 ERA in the last month, he's still been really good. And I think the start that he had was a Wednesday night against Boston. It was a really good example
Yes.
of what he can do, right? So you got two good starters, and then beyond it, it's a lot of questions. I love Christian Javier. I just don't know how he does coming back from Tommy John surgery. We've seen pretty frequently guys have a pretty similar first start to what Javier had, right? He was pretty good, right? Give a homer to Bregman in the first, and then was good for 5 innings. But the command start tends to waver for those guys. And until we see him put together a string of 4 or 5 in a row, I don't know that I'm going to have confidence in him. Arrighetti just has not pitched well since coming back, right? I know it's just a couple of starts, and I certainly like the stuff, but it hasn't been very good to this point. You're hoping to get Luis Garcia back. You're hoping to get McCullers back. And it just doesn't feel like there's the same level of depth. And then push in that the back of the bullpen is massively affected by Hader being out. Now, hopefully, all this second opinion talk is just him going to get peace of mind, and he's back in the minimum. And, you get to September, and he's having one of the best years of his career.
Mm-hmm.
But it certainly felt like there was a concern level there. And the problem is that I just am not sure that they have the guys to replace. I don't want to say necessarily replace Hader, because you can't really replace Hader, but to create enough depth to have quality outgetters against the best parts of the lineup. That's one of the things that Brian Abreu is so good for when Hader's there, is that you can deploy Abreu in the 7th or 8th inning when their best hitters come up, and you feel really good about your chances. Well, now you can still do that, but then you have to worry about the end of the game, or you can do what they did yesterday, which was put Abreu in the 9th inning. And like it adds a little bit more to the plate of Joe Espada and how he manages the bullpen, and it just makes it a little tougher. And so I think these are a couple of the things that I'm focused on right now, because they're kind of playing a shell game. Not to say that they're trying to con anybody in this, but they're moving pieces around to try and fill these holes that they keep having to deal with because of the injuries. And unless they can get everybody back and healthy, which is a possibility, they're going to have to constantly play that. And as soon as maybe the shell game isn't the right, it's more like you got the leaky wall, right? Or the dam, and you put your finger in the one, and then all of a sudden something spurts over here, and you got to put a finger there. The next thing you know, you're playing Twister against the wall. That's kind of what it feels like the Astros are doing right now.
I feel like we've been that way the entire season. And it has been rough.
Yeah, and that's amazing that they've been in first place as long as they have with all of that going on. It's a real testament. Like, a lot of us who watch this regularly can't figure out why it's been the case. And maybe some of it is just that championship pedigree and want and timing up hits right and whatever it is. But it does, like, I worry about that, because if one of those, if the wrong crack forms in the dam, the whole thing can come crashing down.
No, I totally agree. Like, after that shellacking they took to Boston, I think it was 14-1. Like, I literally took a step back, and I'm like, man, is this team really as good as we think they are? Or again, like, like PK had said, are they riding the coattails of that super duper hot June that they had where they won like 13 series in a row? And I'm sitting here like thinking, like, have the injuries finally caught up to where, because, the big concern I have is, we see more, and I'm a big batting average with runner and scoring positions guy. And we see probably 6 to 7 out of 10 games where they're like 1 for 7, 1 for 8.
Yeah.
Now, granted, some of those games you may win 2-0 because the pitching is fantastic. But, we saw them struggle with that last season going into the playoffs against a super hot Detroit Tigers team, and they sent us home early. So, like, I know I'm, and I try to look at things realistically, not just, hey, the Astros are the best, you can't beat them, and, they're, they're Thanos, right? I'm just trying to sit here and be like, man, should I be getting excited, or is the dam going to finally break where it's just like, like with Hader, the last time that we saw a guy get hurt and go for a second opinion, it was Isaac Paredes, and it was a torn hamstring. So, I feel like, we were talking offline, like, man, I feel like this Hader thing's going to he'll probably be done for the rest of the season. That's just the feeling that I get, because, and this might be a thing for regular teams or all the rest of the teams that do this, but our team is not very forthcoming with injuries.
Yeah,
Like
I've noticed.
So like last year we had Kyle Tucker.
I haven't noticed that at all.
Yeah. Last year with Kyle Tucker, it was a bruised shin, and he was out for over 3 months.
Right.
You have the issue with Jordan. He's been out for almost 2.5, 3 months. I mean,
Since
so
April.
it's just, I mean, like I'm at the point where it's like, man, like, am I going to get super excited just to get let down in the first round? Or are they going to have what it takes to hold off the Mariners? Because like I said, you look at the Mariners team, they're stacked. I mean, they've got the depth. They made all the moves that we thought they were going to make. That pitching staff's fantastic. They've got a great back end of the bullpen with Munoz. I mean, and if we look into an idea where the Astros, they lose Hader for, let's say it's the rest of the season, man, the last few games that we saw this middle relief, man, they got shelled. I think they gave up like 14 runs in like 6 innings. So if you don't have that middle bridge between starter and Brian Abreu, I mean, like that's kind of where it's like, where's that duct tape that you need? Because that's going to be tough. I mean, because like that was brutal to watch those 2 games, the two Boston games where they just went to town on our bullpen.
Yeah, so here's a couple things that I would say. Like, I would not get too caught up in runner and scoring position numbers because they're not something that's super predictive. And they're something that tends to, like, there are a number of teams that have been really good or really bad runner and scoring position teams that have had that flip in the postseason. So I think it can be a little bit misleading. There doesn't seem to be much correlation with other things that are similar to that between what happens in the regular season and the postseason, or even really with winning. But one thing is that they are kind of average with trying to get men home from third with less than 2 outs, advancing runners from second with nobody out, those kind of little inside the game things. And another thing that is interesting is that they have, let's put it this way, because their lineup has been so right-handed this year, they have only had the platoon advantage, which means, lefties against righties or righties against lefties in about a third of their plate appearances, which is by far the lowest in the big leagues. So that can kind of impact the offense too, especially when you get to the postseason and teams can run a bunch of real power righties against them, can make their lives miserable with a bunch of breaking balls. Okay. So I think that's some things to keep an eye on and watch how they handle that. And certainly like the addition of Jesus Sanchez, I think it's actually kind of a sleeper good move. That guy's raked against righties for his career. They really need somebody like that. They probably could use him a lot more frequently in right field with the way Cam Smith has kind of slowed here over the last 2 months, which isn't a big surprise. And that's not a knock on Cam Smith. And that guy was playing, like, I was doing his games in Omaha a year ago, right? So, like, the fact that he's done this year is an absolute miracle, right? And learning a new position at the same time. So can you create some better opportunities there? To the bigger picture point of, like, is this going to be a disappointment in the playoffs? None of us are smart enough to know the answer to that. Like, if I could tell you exactly what was going to work in the playoffs, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you. I either would have bet my life savings on it and won a ton of money and be on a beach somewhere, or I'd be working in a front office because I would have the secret sauce for the World Series championship every year, right? And we just don't know what happens because baseball is too variable game to game. Like, think of how many times the worst team in the league beats the best team in the league in a best 2 out of 3. And we see that in 3-game, 5-game series all the time. Right? So it's tough to try and predict that. What I would suggest, if I know you didn't ask for my opinion, but I'm going to give you one anyway.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Enjoy the heck out of this, because the odds are overwhelming that we're getting, whether it's this year or next or 2 years from now, we're getting to the end of this decade of dominance for the Astros. And that doesn't mean that they won't be competitive immediately thereafter. I think certainly their owner, Jim Crane, has signified that as long as he's owning the team, having gone through the deep rebuild, he doesn't want to be in that position again. But there are going to be some limitations unless he's willing to really up the payroll to a level that he hasn't before, in part because if you're chasing championships, your trading prospects in their system hasn't been quite as strong, in large part, I think, because they lost first and second round picks for 2 years after the trash can scandal, right? So those are the realities of it. What I would say is enjoy the heck out of this, because the run that they've been on since 2015 is very difficult to do. And if, in fact, these are the waning days of it, you want to enjoy every moment of the fact that the team is in contention, because you sat through those years when they were getting 0.0 television ratings, right?
Oh, yeah.
In fact, you guys are probably
yeah,
old enough
yeah.
that you sat through the rebuild in the late 80s, early 90s, which really
Yep.
sucked too. Like, people forget
Yeah.
that they went through a fire sale long before we called them fire sales, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
that was like when the late Daryl Kyle was coming up and all that, right? So
Yeah.
enjoy these moments as much as you can. Go ahead and live and die on every game, but just be glad that they're competing at this level, because you never know when it's going to end. And remember that, like, this team went to 7 straight American League Championship Series. Nobody has ever done that before. They've got 2 World Series titles, including a really hard-earned one against the Phillies the last time, right? And the 2017 World Series, regardless of what your feelings are, if you support that team or you don't, I'm not going to judge on any of that. That was an amazing World Series that we got to be a part of and to see, right? So all of these memories are pretty real, and you don't know when it's going to end. We never know quite when it's going to end. So just enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. I don't want to go back and watch 150 Astros games when they've got the worst record in baseball again.
No more Lucas Harrell starts, right? Yeah.
No, and that
Respect
even
of
at
his
that
name.
point, I paid for it because I lived in Phoenix, so I got the MLB package and actually paid to watch them lose. So it's like, oh, geez, man, that was bad. But yeah, no, we've definitely been enjoying it. And then just to kind of continue on with the West right now and everything we've got going on. I mean, I don't really see any reason to talk about the Angels other than the fact that they just swept the Dodgers, which was pretty unbelievable. I know the Dodgers are reeling, but my goodness.
I mean, the Angels are kind of a pain in the butt, right? Like,
They
that's
are.
kind of what they like. I don't know that anybody really wants to play them. I mean, they have a little bit of the wash element with Wash not there, in that they just are like, you don't know when they're going to jump up and bite you. And they're going to. They're not talented enough to win the division. They're not probably talented enough to make the playoffs, but they are talented enough to make you feel some pain every once in a while and drop 2 out of 3 in a manner that makes you want to punch a wall.
Yeah, that's
how I feel about the A's. When every time we play the A's, that's
they
what I
hit.
feel when we play the A's.
Yeah,
it's
they
like,
can hit.
who are these guys?
Yeah,
and then
they're
all of a sudden,
super aggressive. So like so I was just there. I filled in on Diamondbacks 2 road trips ago. And so I was in Sacramento and I saw that offense up close. They're going to have 5 guys that hit 20 home runs in that lineup. And you will see chunks of the game where they just wear down opposing pitches. And you're like, my God, this is the best offense I've seen. And then the next 4 innings will be over in 7 pitches. Right. Like, it's just like last night against the Rays, like this literally had JT Ginn struggled in the first. The Rays got to him, I think, for 4. He threw 40 pitches. The A's had a 7-pitch bottom of the first. Right. So like they're not quite ready for prime time. But if you catch them on the right day, you're in big trouble, because like Nick Kurtz is an absolute monster, and Lawrence Butler's really good, and Shea Langoliers is really good, and Brett Rooker's really good, right? And you know Tyler Soderstrom is going to end up close to 30 homers.
I mean,
yeah, when Wilson comes back, right? Like
Yeah.
Denzel Clark can play the hell out of center field, right? They have all of these position players that you're like, my God, these guys have a chance to be really good. They're still young. They're still figuring it out. But you also feel like you can take advantage of their pitching, especially in that ballpark. So, yeah, I get it. Like, the A's are not a team that I want to play because I think they can bomb the heck out of you on a given day.
Well, we witnessed that a few series ago.
Yep.
So, Mr.
Yeah,
Four Bombs,
Nick
Nick Kurtz, right? I mean, just
God.
destroyed the baseball at Daikin. So yeah, no, it's the A's for me. I mean, like Bros, you can keep going. But yeah, the A's was when you made that analogy about punching the wall. It was the A's. It's always the A's, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good we're playing coming in or how crap, whatever. It's the A's are just a pain, and just a pain in the side. That's all they are.
Yeah, there's enough talent there that they can be a problem.
Yeah.
So my last question on the West then, do you think the South Oklahoma Rangers have another run in them, or do you think that they're going to be dead for the rest of the season?
By the way, that's one of my favorite Texas jokes, is calling people from Dallas and saying that they're from Oklahoma.
That's right.
I love
Yes,
to drop that line on my friends that are from there just to give them a hard time. It's one
That's
of
right.
the best. Oh, you're not a real Texan. You're from Oklahoma, right? Yeah. So some of the issues that they have are similar to what the Astros have. It's just more pronounced from an offensive side. They have been one of the most aggressive teams swinging the bat this year. They have gone through stretches where they just like the way that lineup was built to open the season. When you looked at it on paper, they had a couple of guys in Jock Peterson and Evan Carter you felt like could move the line and really help to wear down pitchers. And Wyatt Langford was trending in that direction. And then you had these, kind of aggressive stars, like namely Corey Seager in the middle, right? And Seager, like, I don't think anybody still wants to face Seager with the game on the line, right? Like the guy's got 2 World Series MVP awards for a reason. And they had power up and down the lineup, right? And the problem is that their guys, like some of those guys that were exploited early in the season have not been able to make the adjustments. And they lost, Peterson was not swinging the bat well really before he got hurt, just starting to when he got hurt. They lost him for a couple months, and Carter's been in and out of the lineup because of injury, just came back yesterday. So I think there's a little bit of a concern there. Their bullpen has done an amazing job this season. It feels like it's starting to get some cracks there just because they don't have a ton of stuff. I think they really miss Chris Martin, who's not like a star, but just like a really solid pro. I mean, that guy's been a pro's pro his entire career, and they just don't have him, and that's going to lead to some issues. Like Phil Maton had given up, I think, 1 homer on the year, right? 2 outs, nobody on, and ends up giving up a 4 spot, right? And like that, of that's, I mean, you guys saw a lot of Maton, right? He's a pretty good reliever. Yeah. That's kind of like some of that's just like if you didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all. Yep. But I think the fact that the offense really, that the 2023 season is starting to look like the outlier for that offensive group is the biggest concern I have with the Rangers. And in talking to some of the people, it's gotten better as the year's gone on, but it's still not great in terms of the way that they manage at bats. And they too can have some quick ones that end. And so I don't know what to make of them. Their starters and their bullpen have carried the load to this point. Now they kind of need the offense to be the guys. If they have an injury to their rotation, I'm very concerned about them because I'm not sure that they have the depth. I mean, Evaldi's been tremendous. DeGrom's been very good. I really like the Merrill Kelly pickup. I think he's just solid. But like if they were to lose somebody in that group, I don't think their options behind them are particularly strong. And so it feels a little bit thin for them right now. And I'm not sure, as much as they're still in the wild card race, they really need to get hot as heck over the last 42 games. And that offense needs to come alive. And I just have not, because you haven't seen it for 3/4 of the year, I'm just not sure that I'm willing to buy into it now.
Great answer.
I personally hope they lose every single game.
Well, of course you do.
That's
great answer.
I don't, because I have friends on the coaching staff and I have friends in the front office and scouting. But like, you're allowed to say that. I would never say that about any team, except for the ones with my very best friends. I like to see them suffer.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Ross.
All right, Ross, what you got?
All right. Well, I guess that probably wraps up the West for us. I think we definitely got it covered. Let's do some Baltimore Astros predictions real quick for the series coming up this weekend. And then, Mike, if we can get you for 2 minutes of barbecue talk after that, that'd be fantastic.
Hell yeah.
All right. I thought that would probably go over pretty well. So
I was like, yes, please.
It's like that's the reason we came on.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I came and talk barbecue. What are we talking
Y'all keep bothering me talking about baseball.
I saw that on the rundown. I was like, what the hell's going on for the first half an hour? Why isn't the whole thing on barbecue?
That's right. All right, we have the TBDs going. Go ahead, Browse.
Yeah, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Baltimore's got TBD. They have not thrown a pitching rotation out there yet. But Friday, we've got Fromber 11-5 with a 2.97 ERA. Saturday, we're throwing Jason Alexander. That is right. Costanza 3-1 at 5.02 for an ERA. And then Christian Javier coming out again for his second start. He did get that win 1-0 with a 3.6, looking to improve on his stuff and hopefully get a little bit more in 5 innings of pitching in. So, gentlemen, what you got?
Mike is a special guest. Why don't you? Mike is a special guest. You do your unofficial prediction if you can.
So the Orioles pitching has actually been pretty good of late, especially in the rotation. Their bullpen has a lot of different looks that none of them are like super exciting. Keegan Aiken, proven closer, doesn't necessarily get you excited, right? But it's weird that their offense has scuffled the way that it has. I think especially with Framber going in the first game of the series, I think the Astros take 2 out of 3.
Attaboy, Mike.
There you go.
I'm going
go.
2 of 3. I'm going 2 and 3. Look, like Fromber opening it up. Costanza had a great last 2 outings. We went over it on Sunday. It was 12 innings pitched. I think it was only a couple of runs he's given up. I mean, you'd like to see him do it again. But I like the 2 out of 3. I mean, I want Javier to continue the trend that he started in this Boston series, right? Braz, I agree. If we can go 5+ innings, right? He still looked good other than that hanger to Bregman early on. I like 2 out of 3 in this one. Just keep stacking series is what we talk about. Keep stacking series wins and keep moving forward.
All right, Braz, you want to go next?
Yeah. All right. I actually had 2 and 3 marked down as well, mainly for the wild card kind of, aspect of it. And just to what Mike was saying is they are scrappy. And right now, I don't know how they were winning games as well as they are with some of the pieces that they lost right at the trade deadline. So, and yeah, their pitching staff on paper, just like you said, it doesn't exactly get you all warm and fuzzy on the inside. But at the same time, we've seen this Astros team kind of play down to the competition. So I still think we're going to take 2 out of 3. I think it's going to be a tough 2 out of 3. And if we can get more than that, hey, listen, I'm not going to complain. So that's mine.
All right. So I saw something on X earlier today about how, and obviously I think this is fake, that the Mariners were going to give away free banners for their next homestand. Saying that they were in first place for one day. So, and I bring that up because Bryles, you went for the sweep against Boston. I went for 2 and 1. So therefore, you got to be second to last place for just one podcast cycle. Period. You're back in last place. So,
where's my banner?
Yeah, get him his banner.
I'll get working on the banner. I want to say 2. I want to say they win 2 out of 3 as well. I mean, I like the way Costanza's pitched. I mean, as of right now, again, even though Fromber's been a little shaky his last 2 starts, I mean, you don't want to bet against Fromber. The wild card, I think, really is going to be how Javier pitches his second go round. I think 2-1 Astros is the safe pick. And I'm going to stick with the safe pick so I can keep Bryce in last place.
You got scared, man. You almost said it. You almost said that word.
Dude,
Just
last time I went sweep, they lost. They lost terribly. Actually, I think the last time I went sweep, we got swept. So you know what? I got to take one for the team. So I go 2 and 1.
All right, 2 and 1. All 2 and 1 it is. Y'all two can battle for second and third place on our prediction list. I'll just hold it down at the top. I'll watch you guys.
That's
all right. Let's get into some barbecue. All right, bros. You got the barbecue stuff. Let's go.
All right, Mike. So I grew up in the Houston area, and then I lived in Phoenix for 17 years, and then moved back, and now I'm in League City with these guys. So anyway, for your barbecue, would you go Naked Barbecue in North Phoenix off of Bell? Or would you go Little Miss in Tempe?
Neither. I just am not in on any of the Phoenix barbecue joints. Yeah, man. I am as tough as I am on baseball teams. I'm even tougher on barbecue. So Midwesterner, right? So like I'm pork based, right? As you can tell, I'm definitely pork based, more porky than beefy. So I just am like, I think they're fine. They're not great. I would put, like if we're on the 20/80 scouting scale, they're kind of like fringe average to me. I don't love either one of them. I think you have to, like, it's tough to find like real brisket outside of Texas, right? Like it's just unless you do it yourself, right, and know how to do it. And so I'm a pass on that. I'd rather do it myself. In fact, I'm actually making some pastrami right now. I'm wet curing a couple of pieces of brisket right now. So, nice. For next weekend. So, I just am not in on it. Give me, if you like, you want my barbecue recommendation, like go to Joe's Kansas City and don't get the Z-Man. Don't it's a good sandwich. Don't get me wrong, but get the ribs there. That's the single best barbecue dish that doesn't involve brisket. Right there. Their ribs are 70 on the scouting scale, and I highly recommend them, and they never get talked about that way.
I'll tell you what, if you're ever in Houston, you need to try Truth Barbecue.
Where's that one at?
That one is off of Washington in the Heights area. It's fantastic. I mean, it's probably the best barbecue, I guess, in town. One of the better ones in town.
So
Truth
my
Barbecue.
favorite
It wasn't Brenham. Their original location's in Brenham. And then they now have the Houston location.
So my favorite barbecue location that I ever ate at was Thelma's when it was downtown before her place burned down in downtown Houston. That place was unbelievable. And it also had the best fried catfish I've ever had anywhere too. So like her barbecue could do no wrong. Nobody's ever come close to matching that.
Okay.
And I know she ended up having, I think there was a place out of the Galleria for a while after that ended up closing. I think she may have passed. I mean, this is going back 20 years ago when I ate there, but like, those are the places that I like. Give me the spots that are roadside. Give me the spots that are in like not in the fanciest areas, with the exception of Jack Stack in Kansas City, which is a white tablecloth restaurant that's actually very good. They put their burnt ends in the baked beans.
Yeah,
which is really good trait.
Go.
But like, give me the like, just like the best fried chickens at a gas station, the best barbecue is too.
But there's a spot in College Station that I ate at. It's called 1776, and it's out. It's just a little, like a single trailer, right? And inside the little warehouse, like a little what's it called, barn dominium type deal. Okay. They have the picnic tables, and the butcher paper is the tablecloth. Right?
Nice. Yep.
And so they put the burnt ends in the smoked Gouda mac and cheese.
Oh,
and it's
nice.
Phenomenal.
That's
phenomenal.
nice.
And it's just, you just pick up food, go sit at your little picnic table with the butcher paper, and then you have a really tough drive home to Houston after eating that. I'll tell you that. It is not a good drive.
My second job outside of doing the show on MLB Network Radio is I do college baseball for ESPN, and I do a lot of ACC. So I get into some really good pig country. So if you're ever near Clemson, there's a place called Smoke and Pig. They've got like 3 locations, but the one in Pendleton is the one to go to. And it's the kind of place, like, we walked in there on a Saturday. We're there for the Stanford Clemson series, which, by the way, is a conference series, and I still can't get over that.
Wild.
So it's Saturday morning, right? We walk in this place. It's the entire crew, right? Gabby Sanchez, the Marlins former All-Star, is the analyst I work with the most. Gabby and I are there with our director, producer, all this stuff. We walk in this place. It's got a whole bunch of like shipping containers set up. They've got like cornhole set up. There's beer taps. Like, the food was amazing, like really, really good. Like it's a great spot. And all we were thinking is there a way we could pull like a Bull Durham style rain out so that we could just hang out here all day, toss bags, pour a couple of beers, and just eat barbecue. That's what I want to know. That's my dream now, is to have that happen and spend the day at the Smoking Pig in Pendleton.
That sounds fantastic, actually. That sounds really good.
I'm down.
Well, if you're going to go razz your buddies up in Dallas, while you're there, I would say definitely stop by Grand Prairie and go to Zavala's Barbecue. It's in a little old, like, I think it was a gas station or like an old little bank, something like that. But anyway, Drew and Bonnie Wright, they run that joint, and it is, in my opinion, the best barbecue I've had in the state of Texas.
Nice.
So if you get the opportunity, I'd definitely say go check that out. A little bit of a drive if you're going to be in Dallas, probably about 45 minutes to an hour, but it's definitely worth it.
So one, I've heard of the place because one of my best friends is from Denton. And so he has highlighted that for me as a place that you need to go to. 2, it's really funny that you think the best barbecue in Texas is in Oklahoma.
Oh, got him. Got him. Way to go, Bryles. Damn it.
Man.
He got you.
I just served that one up. Yeah.
Softball.
You can't try and sneak a fastball by me at a hitter's count, buddy.
Look, man, he got you from like 25 minutes ago when you used that. Just sat on it.
That's a true professional right there, my friend.
Just sat on it. Well, Mike, man, I really appreciate you coming on with us, man. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. You get to talk a lot of ball outside of the Houston area, and talk to AL West and get kind of perspective from someone out of state looking at our team, from the national perspective. So I really appreciate you coming on, Bryles. Great job in getting and making contact. Hope we can do it again. It'd be a lot of fun.
Guys, I had a blast too. I mean, it's clear you guys are passionate about the Astros. I love that. It was really fun being a part of this, and enjoy these last 6 weeks, man. The final quarter of the season is always the best, and like the only thing better than the final quarter is the final eighth, right? So enjoy this, enjoy the sleepless nights, enjoy, like I may have done once during a pennant race, getting a speeding ticket on the way to work because I was thinking more about a baseball game that night than the speed limit. Like that's the time of year it is.
Yes, sir. Well, anything guys y'all want to say? We get out of here and let Mike get on his way.
No, man. I mean, like I said, man, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. And, if I could ask one quick question, every year I tell myself, this is the year I'm going to get into college baseball. But I think for real this time, I'm actually going to get into college baseball. And as someone who doesn't have a school, everyone I applied to, they said they kindly rejected me. I'm looking for, I don't want to be a bandwagon guy to jump on a team that's already like 5-star. Is there any up and coming teams that are maybe a year or two away from really contending? And they're on par with all the recruiting?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I would say, I think it's, picking the style of baseball team you want is so personal, right? And the nice thing about college baseball is that it's a much wider variety than pro ball is. Like there's a lot, like pitchers go deeper into games, right? There's more hit and runs. There's, the bunt is an offensive weapon because the defenders aren't as good, right? All of those things. So I think you kind of have to sample it. The beauty of where you guys are now with Texas and with A&M, both in the SEC, is that the SEC is the best conference. And, the ACC has a lot of talent too. Like there are a lot of really talented programs there, but the SEC, like 13 of those teams are legitimate regional teams. So I would say start sampling it a little bit. All those games are on ESPN Plus, or what'll be now. I think they're just going to call it the ESPN app starting next week. You'll be able to watch any of those. Like all the SEC games are televised. The analysts that do SEC baseball, Chris Burke, Kyle Peterson, are some of the best analysts on the planet. So kind of sample it for a little bit and then pick one, and know that if you go to one of those environments, like if you decide that like Starkville is going to be your place, it's a pain in the butt to get to, but like the dude is a unique experience. Oxford's a unique experience where they're firing up the beer showers when there's home runs, right? I don't know if you guys know about that, but in right field, when Ole Miss players hit a home run, they all toss their beers up in the air. Like it's crazy. Awesome. It's great. A&M, like Olsen Field, like the magic at Olsen Field is real, right? When they start chanting ball 5, right? Dish Falk, like all these places are incredible environments, and you guys have a front row seat to that because of where you're located. So if you're into it, I would say, I wish I could make a good suggestion for you, but I do think you need to sample a little bit to see which style of play you like the most and which team you have the guttural reaction to getting frustrated the first time they blow a 3-run lead in the 7th.
I think that's
me and Bryles can tell him what team. Okay, it's Texas. We've already got him hooked on Texas football, right? We're going Texas, Chris. 2 weeks.
That does feel a little bandwagon.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, man,
Schloss is there. They won the SEC in their first year. Like,
yeah.
Does feel like
I'll tell you what was watching them play UTSA and lose the games that they did during the regular season and in the regional. I really wanted UTSA to win the whole thing. Now I'm not happy that LSU beat Coastal, right? I mean, I was pulling for Coastal in that game, but the UTSA, once they took Texas out, I'm like, okay, this is the team I want to ride with. I like the way they play because it was fundamental baseball, not the big names like Texas. Right, not the big, 5-star, 4-star guys, big guys. It's fundamental baseball, and that always wins. At the heart of baseball, that's what wins.
Yeah, and they have Pat Hallmark is a really good, really intense coach. He is old school, and they just did not have a lot of margin for error offensively. And that was a problem. Like even going to a pretty good pitcher's environment at UCLA, UCLA had, like, if you want to get into a school that you can barely see on TV because the Big Ten still doesn't know how the hell to cover baseball. And yes, the UCLA's in the Big Ten. Like they're going to have 3 first-rounders on their infield, including maybe the number 1 overall pick in Rock Chalowski. They just ran into too much talent. That Texas team was actually kind of a grinder team this year. Like they were not the most talented club. And then they lost their best player in Max Ballou partway through the year to a hand injury and really didn't have him back. And then they lost the guy who I thought was the best college pitcher I saw in person this year, Jared Spencer, Yeah, who and once they lost Spencer, it was really like their margins were very thin. Given another year, maybe two, Schloss is going to have that thing cooking, and then we're going to be seeing you're going to see Texas back in Omaha every year, and everybody's going to get sick of hearing the eyes of Texas again.
That's right. No one gets tired of hearing that, Mike. No one gets tired.
Only those jokers up in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Only those guys in Oklahoma and College Station. But guys, Mike, thanks again. Thanks for coming on, man. Let's do it again. This was a lot of fun, and maybe next time we'll get a little bit into some more college ball because that was a good little conversation to go out on.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Games start for real on Valentine's Day, so you got a whole month and a half before the regular season starts, so you can get into games that count. So
yeah, absolutely, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in this week. We're going to be back on Sunday, like we always are, for the weekend wrap up. Thank y'all for listening. I'm PK. That's Chris. That's Bryles. And thanks again to Mike. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Let's go Astros.